I couldn't see. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Good to see you. Our topic today is embracing change. Now, change can be unsettling, especially when it disrupts our routines or challenges our expectations. But it's through change that we grow, adapt, and discover new parts of ourselves and the world around us. Embracing change means shifting our perspective from resistance to acceptance, from fear to curiosity. In this discussion, we'll explore how opening ourselves to change can lead to personal transformation, deeper connections, and unexpected opportunities. So let's get started. We have some reminders.
We forgot to introduce ourselves.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm one of the hosts. I'm Linda. I'm from upstate New York. And Rono,
I'm from Rotterdam in the Netherlands.
he's our other host. Sorry about that. Uh, we have some rules of the road here. We're trying to create a supportive environment where we connect above any differences. Please stay on topic, no criticism, avoid politics. Remember to mute your microphone when not speaking to minimize background noise. And if you can, turn on your camera, that would be great. And please remember to keep your answers brief so that everyone gets a chance to speak. Rono?
It's good. Great to have you here. My name is Rono again from Rotterdam, the Netherlands. And we're going to start with a very simple icebreaker question. And it's a funny one, the way to loosen everyone. And you answer this question by starting with your name, where you're joining us from. And the question is, talk about our topic, which is embracing change. The question is, if you think of yourself without looking in the mirror, how old are you? Start with your name and where you're from. The question, if you think of yourself without looking in the mirror, how old are you? Let me give you. Go
I'm
ahead,
Roberta from Long Island, and it depends what time of the day it is. If it's in the morning, probably like 18, 19. The end of the day, I'm making them sore, my right inflammation. But overall, I would say definitely like 20s, I feel, I would think.
Victoria, there's no need to raise your hand. You can jump in when
Oh,
there's
sorry.
your phone, no problem.
Okay, so gosh, I feel like about I don't know, 13 or 14.
Thank you.
I
Where are
do.
you
I still
from?
feel. I'm from New York City,
Nice. That's a
Queens.
good age. That's a good age. Who's next?
I'm Susie from the rainforest on the Big Island, and I think I'm about 3 or 4. Because 3 or 4-year-olds play, and if I'm playing and having fun, I'm happy. If I try to act my age.
That is so great. I'm Alisa. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, and I'm something between, actually I'm opposite Roberta. When I wake up, I feel like I'm 100. And when I go to bed, I feel like I'm 3 or 4 years old.
I'm like Roberta. I feel like I'm 21 in the morning. And then at night when I'm ready for bed, I'm like ready for bed. I'm like, oh, I'm 100 years old.
Don't forget, you guys, you can jump in. Yeah,
Okay.
unmute yourself and jump in.
My name's Jimmy. I'm from New Jersey. I feel like I'm in my 50, so it's almost uh, I need to be younger than my real age, but it's not so far away.
Hey, and I know Nancy's feeling younger because she just had a birthday.
When's your birthday, Nancy? Mine
Nancy,
was.
you're not.
She's mute. She's mute. You need to unmute.
Yeah.
A new tablet and I'm still trying to figure it out. I just found the mute button. My birthday was Sunday. And I am
So
a
was
whole
mine.
six-
You got to be kidding me. You're June 22nd?
Yeah.
So am I. I've never met anybody on my birthday. Can you picture all these years we've been an open diner? We never even know we had the same birthday. Happy birthday. That's crazy.
Happy birthday to both of you then.
When I wake up in the morning, I feel like I'm about 200 years old. I hate the world, actually. When I finally wake up more, I start to get younger until I would say by the time I go to bed, I'm like maybe 17. I think I spend my day more like maybe 23, just barely a little mature, but not really. Oh, and Nancy from the Chicago area.
Mac, can you unmute? Can you speak?
Oh my goodness, that was not the thing.
Mark, you need to unmute.
Well, I'm Kassanti Jr. from Ghana. In the morning, I look like 11-year-old, but at night, during the bedtime, I see myself like 38 years old.
Nice. From Ghana. So we didn't have any people from Africa. It's good, good. Janet, I don't know if you can speak. If you can, hop in. Okay. We're going to play a very short video clip for showing us the rules of the round table. This is the rules that we have based our discussions on. So just showing us a behavior that allow us to create that environment that makes our discussion warmer. So pay attention. It's very short. Sharing.
The rules of the round table. Around the table, no one is more important or less important. Everyone is equal and very important. We don't reject opinions or negate, but only collaborate. The real solution won't come from knowledge or verbal perfection, but only from our connection.
Okay. Well, we're going to watch two videos now. They were short, so we kind of put them into one. The first one is Simon Sinek. He's the author of multiple best-selling books, including Start With Why, Leaders Eat Last, Together is Better, and The Infinite Game. The second video is Mike Robbins, and he's the author of 5 books, including his latest, We're All in This Together. He's a sought-after speaker with clients such as Google, Wells Fargo, Microsoft, Schwab, eBay, the NBA, the Oakland A's, and many others. So Let's listen to what they have to say about change.
If I asked you, do you need to change? And you said to me, no, I'd be worried. You know, like you think you've figured everything out, like emotionally, professionally, all your relationships, everything's golden. Oh, okay. How's that working out for you? You know, I think the answer is always yes, which is to view ourselves or our organizations as works in progress. You know, that is an infinite mindset. Infinite mindset is fundamentally constant improvement. So, you know, there's big change, there's little change, there's tweaks, there's dramatic change. Sometimes it's reacting to changing cultures, changes in culture, politics, technology. You know, sometimes the change is our own, sometimes we have to react to it. But I think the honest answer is yes, we have to change. There's always opportunity to improve something. So there's this notion in businesses that people fear change, which is just fundamentally not true. People fear sudden change, you know, but incremental change is not threatening. People fear change that threatens them, right? And very often the way we change manage is we do lots of PowerPoint presentations about what's coming and don't worry, and we have all these things, and we treat it very rationally, and what we're ignoring is the emotional response. Now, there are some people who love change. It's an infinite-minded thing to embrace uncertainty, to see opportunity in surprise. For some people, especially people who have gotten good at doing something for 10 years, 20 years, that all of a sudden you say you're going to change it, they fear, again, there's that emotional word, they fear that they won't know how to, or it will set them back. And so no number of rational assurances will help them get over that. At some point, we have to just let them go through the process.
I was on the phone with a mentor of mine a few years ago, and I was complaining to him about a bunch of people who were getting on my nerves. And he's one of these people that I really appreciate. I can be completely honest, completely open, no filter, just sort of tell him what's going on. And he's got this ability. You have people like this in your life who can like listen to what is going on or what I might be frustrated or struggling with, and he can kind of cut right through it and sort of get to the core of it. You know what I'm talking about? So I'm on the phone with him, and I'm complaining about this person's bugging me, and this person's bugging me, and this other person's getting on my nerves, and this. And after 4 or 5 minutes, he listens to me for a while. He's a great listener. And he says, all right, Mike, I understand you're frustrated. It totally makes sense. These people are bugging you and getting on your nerves. He said, but I have a really important question to ask you. I said, what's that? He said, who's always at the scene of the crime? I said, what? He said, who's the common denominator in all those relationships you were just complaining about? I said, that would be me. He said, yeah, you keep thinking that if this person changed and that other person changed and this person worked harder and that person had a different attitude and this person stopped doing this and started doing that, then everything would work out. He said, it doesn't work that way. In fact, it works the other way around. He said to me, nothing changes until you do. And it wasn't like I'd never heard that phrase before, or definitely that concept, but there was something about him saying that to me right in that moment that had me stop in my tracks and realize, wow, how much time and energy am I wasting wanting other people to be different than the way they are? Where I really have some ability to make some changes within myself. What he was essentially saying to me and reminding me of was to take ownership of my own life and my own experience and the relationships that I have with people. And over the last almost 20 years, as I've been really studying the psychology of peak performance for individuals, but also for teams and organizations, that element of ownership is such an essential part of our success, especially when we're going through change.
All right, we've got a few questions now for us to discuss regarding change. Why do you think change is important? Just open up your mic whenever you want to speak. Why do you think change is important?
Without change, I would be bored, you know? Uh, I learned really early that, change is, give yourself to change. the unknowable, what you don't know yet. So, but yeah, I think, yeah, good question.
Because the environment that we are living with is always change. For example, tomorrow will never be the same as today. So you have to change to adapt to your environment. We are also changing anyway because we go through the time.
I could add that it would be boring if things didn't change. We want things to change for the good, obviously, but hopefully, if we're changing with ourselves, if we're changing and growing with these changes, because everything happens for a reason. I see that I'm seeing it more and more that everything that happens is for our growth somehow. It's a great way to look at it, really.
I'll add to mine real quick. Why is change important? Look at the world. If we don't have change, we're not going to make it.
Yeah, I was going even in a smaller direction. Look at myself, how much I've changed. We go every day, there is a change, but the external changes and some changes were not ready. And as Simon actually said that, it's a sudden change that sometimes throws us off and we think we're not ready, but actually, if we are internally embracing change, then we will be ready even to a sudden changes.
Change is always necessary, and we need change to grow our lives and amend our ways. Like a child, you always need a change to grow. As an adult, you always need a change to also establish a right and a good decisions at all times.
I think I would add to that. This it's not just that change is important or we have to change. It's like I think nature put us here in this life specifically to change. It gives us one way to be, which is problematic. We see how we have so many wars and conflicts with each other. But as we keep learning, then eventually we'll get to the point where, this final destination, which is somewhere further in the future. So, it makes you expect change, like if you think of it this way.
And how can you improve without changing?
Nancy, you're unmuted if you'd like to go.
I'm going to say the same thing. You either grow or die, as they say. You really can't stay in the same place. And even though we say we hate change, we wish things would stay the same, I don't think we really mean it, because I don't think we understand what it would be like if nothing ever changed. I mean, the world changes every day. Even water can't stay in one spot and not move. It gets stagnant and icky. So, it's just a part of life, even though it's no fun, and it sometimes anyway, but it's something we have to adapt to keep living. I mean, just getting older, right, Roberta, is a change.
Breathing in and out is changing. You're breathing in, it's change. You're breathing out, it's a change. And if you don't change, what happens? You stop breathing. Rona, you ready for the next question?
Yeah, let's go with number 3. Why do we need to change instead of trying to change others? I see it was in the clips, the second part of the clip, Mike was talking about it. Why do we need to change instead of trying to change others?
This is so funny. I was just at a meeting and there was a new girl here, and we live in the jungle, and there was a twig in her hair, and she was sitting next to me, and I thought, well, maybe I should, and then I took my hat off, and there were three little white specks on them, and I tried to get them off, and they were little tiny baby spiders. And I said, maybe I shouldn't try to fix her. The Bible says, don't don't look at the speck in their eye. And my teacher used to say, when there's a telephone pole in yours.
Well, I believe the Bible said to take spiders off your head. That's for sure. I hate spiders. I think this is a great
The thing
question.
is, Roberta, it was so funny because they were little tiny specks, and I thought I was pricking them off, and then they started running off.
The jungle itself. But this is a great question. Why do we need to change instead of changing others? That's the only thing we can do is change ourselves. Changing others, it's just impossible because you're not going to change anybody. You could change with them, but you cannot change others. You could see, would you want somebody to change you? Just reverse it. No one could change me unless I'm willing to change. So
this is the biggest change we have to make, is just to change, direct the change toward myself, changing myself rather than others, which is, it seems, so logical that everyone has to change but myself. But apparently this is the biggest change.
I actually, this question make me think about it, my own experience with my sons, because when they are young, I always feel like I need to change them, change their habit, change their attitude. But instead, I found out we cannot change them. The only thing we can change them is change the way we communicate with them. Then I learned the patience. I learned that instead of criticizing them, I encourage them. When they found that they are moving to the direction I desire them to move, I encourage them. That's probably the best thing I learned from my children, changing myself.
Yeah, changing the way you deal with others. You see others differently.
That's right. That's right.
Mark, you were trying to speak. Go ahead.
Well, change begins from within, and it's a constant decisions that you need to take. Before you can change your environment, you need to change yourself. And that change begins from within. And that is the most important thing each and everyone in this life. It is a conscious decision that you need to make it by yourself without someone imposing any fear on you. It's something that is willing. When you accept it and you do it, trust me, life is going to be better for you. Yes, to my understanding.
I think also there is one angle that is useful in this. When instead of trying to ask others to adapt yourself to you, when you change yourself, sometimes, or actually most of the time, it allows you to adapt yourself to them. And this is a way to avoid having obstacles between each other. And it's easier. You change one person instead of trying to change everyone around you, which would be dozens of people. How long would that take? It's like you make concessions yourself. But imagine that others around you are doing exactly the same. How much easier life would be.
Victoria, Janet, you guys have anything to say?
Nancy, you're ready. Go ahead.
I finally figured, I still don't understand this mute button on this tablet. Talk about change, right? So used to phone. Anyway, what I was going to say is this is from personal experience, trying to change another person is an exercise in futility and frustration. As we've been saying, nobody can change a person but themselves. And it's just a lot easier to make to adapt. And if you can't, then you got to walk away and change the situation. But there's some more change. And personally, I would still not like to be my 17-year-old self, even though sometimes I feel like one.
And just think when someone's trying to change you, how annoying that is. If you are set in your ways and you like something a certain way, and somebody's constantly trying to change you, look how annoying that is, right? So we got to start looking at it like, how would I want to be treated? Is how we have to treat others, you know?
I think if we get this one right, doesn't the Serenity Prayer say the things I can change and the things I can't change, and the wisdom to know the difference? And the wisdom is you can't change anybody but you. Huh.
And actually, I was thinking that, the funny thing is that if I am able to change myself, all of a sudden I see that everyone else changed miraculously.
Now, how would you help someone who's having trouble with change? Something's changing and they're having trouble with it. How would you help them?
I would do everything I could to get them to relax and allow and to breathe, because when it's coming on strong, the best thing you can do is chill. Open your heart and chill. But I'm not changing that person. I'm just giving them a few tools in case they want in case they want to change.
Yeah, some people have trouble accepting change, even if it's, not themselves, but it's something in their environment that changes, and they really have trouble with it. You gotta, like Susie said, just kind of talk them through it.
I would think that I would tell the person and try to see the good outlook to it. I always say that, everything happens for a reason and for usually a better purpose. When change happens, a lot of times we don't want it, but you look back, let's say maybe 5 years from now, or even a year, hopefully a day, and say, that's the best thing that ever happened to me. Even though it was a difficult change, but you go back and you say, that was the most amazing thing that I couldn't have done myself. Sometimes we got to be forced into change. But yeah, to try to show them, hey, it's happening for a reason and it's going to be better.
Yeah, I think I can continue what Roberta was saying. The idea is to think about answering this thing like this. He said, God has a plan, but we're too young to understand it, so he's not sharing it with us. So, but further down the road, we'll be able to realize how much, how much this plan was thoughtful, how good it was, and how beneficial it was. It's like Roberta was saying, you always look back and say, this is the best thing that happened to me. And most of the time you say that with the things that you experience as, something horrible at the moment. Nancy, go ahead.
I've got to remember what I was going to say. Oh, I know. Okay. In helping another person, I do this for myself too, is to try to see it and see things positively. Like, this change could be really great. This could be really good. And even if it's not going to be the end of the world. Just because there's one change going on doesn't mean that life is over. Those kinds of things help me. So I think I would probably say them to someone else as well, to try to help them see it you got to look at things from a different point of view. Someone said that too. When you look at things, I can't remember, but there was a quote, I've got it written down somewhere, but when you look at things differently, things seem to, I can't remember it, sorry. Ugh.
Nancy, was it walk a mile in another man's moccasins?
Tell you truth, friends, I don't know. There are some dramatic changes in our lives that is, very hard to, to really feel, and that they are for the better, and they're in 10 years. That would be so great, because, I think we all went through some dramatic changes in our lives, and how to help a person, I think, is just surrounded with love and attention as much as possible, and actually not just by yourself, but maybe surround the person with a group of people that the person knows, and have him, her to be with this group as much as possible, and just share this experience together, divided into all. That is something I can suggest in some really dramatic changes.
It's like in general, reminding them that life is purposeful. Things happen for a reason, like someone said already. So next question is, what helps in embracing change the most? What helps in embracing change the most? What do you think?
I was going to say wine, a drink. What I'm only joking, but what helps in changing? I think good friends, family, good support. That really helps the most. There's nothing you can do by yourself, and probably in those moments is when you really need the friends most, and you actually find out who your friends are in those changes when they come.
I think personally, I think many people, that's from my observation, the hard luck, the failure make people change the most. If the people has the self-awareness, because many young people, they go to the society, they all go to this a hard luck school. The society beat them up, then they have to change one way or another, or failure, whatever. Probably they force people change. That's probably the basic learning.
Well, I think if you look at it too and say, well, if it's this way, even though it's not my way, maybe it'll be better.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to the relaxing homeostasis. Your body heals itself, but the way you get there is to completely relax. And usually, if you're going through stuff, or if somebody that you're helping is going through stuff, the most important thing is for you to get them to relax. Me, if I'm doing it for myself, relax, trust, deep breathing. I breathe out what I don't no longer need, and I breathe in help. And the more you relax, the more you're able to handle change. When we're like this and we're all tense, change doesn't happen, and then it's just beating us on the head and we're going through crazies. But if we can relax, then and there are a lot of changes happening to this planet now and in the next few years. I mean, huge. So we better learn to chill. Huh.
Well, I can say, Nancy, I'm sorry, just few words, just that what can change me the most, I think, is just people who, just the example of people who embrace change easily, you know, or at least somewhat easy, in an easy way, you know, and that will encourage me to do the same. You know, that their example really will influence me.
Nancy, still thinking?
I tell you, my mind is changing really fast because I forget everything and I just forgot what I was going to say. I'll come back when I remember.
Yeah, but look at this, Nancy. You found the mute button.
Yes, I did find it. Figured out how to use that. That's something anyway.
And I'm sorry, Nancy. Next time, if it will happen, you go first.
It's okay, no problem. Actually, I think it was, I know what I was going to say. See, you helped me remember. Thank you. I was going to say, I think that sometimes maybe it's that we're more afraid of the word change than the change itself. I mean, it just like strikes fear, you know? So I heard this on a TV show the other day, and I think it's really cool. Somebody was doing something and someone else went to talk to them and they said they were putting chairs out and they said, "Come help me, grab those chairs." And the guy said, "You want me to work?" And the other one looked at him and said, "It's not work if you don't call it work." And I think that was really, I liked it. I thought if you don't make change seem like such a big bad monster, it probably won't be a big bad monster. I think it's how we look at things sometimes. We get all tense about it, like Susie was saying, you know, it just, it perpetuates that fear. Well, if we just relax and think about it, it's probably not that bad at all. We're probably making it, I know I do that. I make things way bigger than they are most of the time.
Yeah, and I think also people forget that, well, they're not aware, or they don't realize things are not random. Life is it's like a stream that goes in one direction. You go with it. You go slow or fast. If you embrace it, you go fast. If you don't embrace it, you try to go backward, and it slows you down. But like Susie was saying, this relax and a positive attitude, that helps. Because if you think that, there is a force somewhere that is pushing us ahead gently, but toward a very good destination, then, you'll be more likely to, want to make that next step.
You made me think of something. I've heard a story where, if you're in a river and you're trying to go swim against the current, it's so much work. That's what they said, turn around and go downstream with the river. It's easier and it's less work. You just made me think of that, Rana. So true. To move with change, it's going to happen anyway. I think Jimmy had said it, that life is constantly changing. And in the video, it's like, we don't want a sudden change. We want us to change everything, but
Well, and we get the word trust. When you relax, it's easier to trust that the universe is for you. But when you're freaked out, you're resisting, and so it's not. But when we relax and we allow and we trust, then there's an exchange with spirit in us. There's gifts because we're allowing them. This is a great subject.
I think too, people just, as you get older anyway, people are just looking for comfort safety, so they don't want change because they're afraid it'll ruin that comfort, it'll ruin that safety. And it's what we all want. We want to be comfortable and safe, but sometimes we gotta change, we gotta accept change. Who knows, maybe it'll make you more comfortable.
Victoria, Janet, or Mike, if remember, you can always jump in when you feel something.
You know, and I know I'm talking a lot, but you made me think of something else. If the universe, like you want to say, or God, like Rana was saying, and Susie saying universe, if these changes wouldn't happen, how many times would we really change anything on our own? We wouldn't probably. That's why a lot of these things are a help, you could say, from above, or that's helping us change and grow. Otherwise, like you said, it's scary to change. Many times I remember I was in a basement apartment, and I love this basement apartment. I was there for 9 years, and all of a sudden there was a sign on the front lawn that I had to move. I was devastated, but it's the best thing that ever happened. I moved to a different area, different location, met new friends. Everything in my life changed because of that. I did not want to move, but it's the best thing because I never would have moved out of the apartment. So life has a way of doing things that we maybe can't do.
One of the best examples of that was my dad. He loved routine. He would do exactly the same things at the exact same time every single day in and day out. That routine was his, like structure. Whenever there is something that has to be done, it's completely differently. He'll tell you, I'll do it tomorrow. Max, sorry, go ahead.
For change to happen, change most of the time, the universe has a way of communicating with us. Before there will be a change or you embracing a change, you first put yourself in a position of acceptance. If you feel accepted, you'll be able to make that change. And what the universe does is to put you on the right path. Many times you have problems, trials, which is also part of your journey. But through your change, if you are able to amend your ways and accept and you are willing for change, there will be a greater blessings that you are going to get from this thing. So most of the time, to me, I believe that for you to embrace the change, you have to accept it first and also trust every process that you are in. You just trust the process, do what is right, and the best thing will happen to you. So that is, to me, my understanding of embracing.
There's something Victoria wrote in the chat, like she can't speak. She said, I, for one thing, fear change, but then again, there is a slogan, if it ain't broke, then don't fix it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sometimes, though, the problem is knowing, is it working well enough for me now, or am I ignoring the part that's broken? And it's kind of like that serenity prayer, knowing the difference between what's good and what's same and what.
Mm.
Okay, why is it so difficult to change? Some people find it really, really difficult. Why?
Because
You
it's
know,
fear of the unknown. You don't know what's going to be worse or better. It's like, I was going to go to another department and my supervisor said, it's better to know the devil that you know than the devil you don't know.
yeah, and we're so we're conditioned. And you know how I think several people here said we go through something and like Roberta, and you don't want to do it, but then when you do it, it's the best thing that happened. And if you can start relaxing and incorporating that into your experience, like, well, this looks like crap right now, but I know that there is, I'm eating a lot of lemons here, but with a little honey, I can get lemonade, and so there's this, and the reason why where we resist change is because of the resistance that we've had to change in the past. And when we're resisting but if we could remember to relax and stuff, it's not that bad. Change is actually the only thing that's constant. The only thing that's constant about change is that it's always going to be here. So the embracing it and just saying, kind of like the big unknown, I embrace you. I believe you love me. I believe the universe is for me. So I'm relaxing and letting these gifts take place in and through me. Yeah, I love change.
I think sorry, I think the difficulty for people to make a change is we all have when you get used to something, it become a habit. So for example, you have a favorite store you wanted to go because you know where you find your stuff. But if you go to a different store, you all of a sudden, you don't know where it is. And that's or you have a road that you go drive to the work. And if you change it to a different road, and it's a better experience, but you also fear you maybe somewhere you miss something. So the people are probably more comfortable with the same thing, or for your neighborhood, your company, and your colleague. That's yeah.
We live in such a world of uncertainty, like Jimmy's saying, and it's so true because we're always trying to hold something that it's not going to get away. I heard once, I think it was Alan Watts, it was a statement he says, everything in this world, including the highest mountains, will turn to dust. So everything's constantly changing in this world. And like you said, Jimmy, it's so true because you're afraid, you're trying to hold and grasp something in life. And we're afraid of change because it's the unknown, it's really the unknown. And to hold on to anything is it's because of fear. We're afraid of losing something because we're constantly losing something every day. I just brought this whole place down. Sorry. But, we're constantly in a state of change.
Well, and Roberta, it's important that we learn how to embrace this. In other words, change is here. So if we're resisting all the time, so we can actually train ourselves to chill, like I was telling a story yesterday, and I've got all and my facilitator said, okay, calm down, because I was like getting back into. And so when you train yourself, oh, I could relax here, it's going to work a lot better. And I remember like 20 year ago, I read a thing Deepak Chopra said, the universe is for you, the universe loves you. And I go, I don't know about you, but my universe has been beating the shit out of me, And so, but then I had to learn that the universe is for me, but I had to allow it to be for me. If I had all this resistance, it felt like, that scripture that God won't give you more than you can handle. I've been telling him he's lied about that for a couple of decades. Yeah, change is good. We got to train ourselves to be able to receive.
Well, I hear you, friends, and now what I hear is that if there is only one constant in our life, that is change.
There's something that Mark wrote in the chat. He said, "You only accept the situation before you make the change. The universe has a way of directing our path." I can add this. You see, it's like the idea of being afraid of change is because we think about a bad experience in the past. We've had, we have this pessimistic attitude of being afraid of a repeat again of this bad experience. That's why because if we were convinced that this change was going to be something good, then we just jump into it.
I think we're
Go ahead, Nancy.
I think we're afraid of change too because there's something in us that it's called habituation. It's like when you're let me think of a good example. If you're lying in bed and you hear a faucet dripping and it's dripping and it's dripping, eventually you'll adjust to it and you won't hear it anymore. And that's our ability to habituate. Otherwise, we'd be driven crazy by anything and everything around us, right? And that goes for habits. I mean, those habits we make are really important. I know because I have such a hard time making them. Habits and routines are comforting, knowing that this is the next step and this is the next thing I'm going to do that's ahead. While again, as everyone has said, change, there's no rhyme or reason. You don't know what's going to come of it. You don't know how you'll adjust to it. It's just I think it makes it scary. What we have to realize is it's not scary. It's not a dark black hallway. It's a light one. And we just have to walk through it and see what's on the other side.
When you walk through a storm. We're all keeping each other's heads up high, and that's the other thing I was going to say about this is we change, especially quickly when someone's standing with us, loving us, so that we can understand, oh, I can relax and open up. This person is loving me, and so yeah, I love it.
Well, Susie, I think it's a good segue to the last question. And listen to this. What kind of environment would make changes easier to accept? What kind of environment would make changes easier to accept? Think about environment wherever, family, friends, work. What kind of environment would make changes easier to accept?
I think, like Susie said, having people you love around you to help you.
Yeah, positive people that are going to actually uplift you, not be like, oh, that's awful. I can't believe that happened. And, someone that's constantly now making it worse. You want somebody to uplift you and say, this is a good direction you're going. You don't know what's on the other side, like Nancy said. So good friends and uplifting people.
And think of how many times we can be that environment. We can be that love for someone. Oh, they're going through a hard time because that helps us with ours too. We might be going through a whole lot, but this person is, we stand, oh God, they need my love. They need my support. We open our heart and then we get help too. Yeah, an environment of love and acceptance.
And security, which is really what you're saying. It's feeling secure where you are right now. What is that phrase they say about parents and kids? If you give your kids roots, the roots will help them sprout wings. It's like if you come from a secure enough environment or enough security in yourself for the people around you, it's a lot easier to try to strike out on that change than it is if you're not in a secure environment in the first place. Then you're still struggling just for the security.
That is a great point, Nancy, that environment where no matter what you go through, you know that you are going not alone and that you are supported, and it's a solid support, no matter how, the change, what direction the change takes you. That is a very good point, Nancy.
I think I could mirror what Susie was saying. Remember that this thing is that life is a two-way street. The same way you might need a good environment around you that helps you, cope with change and, difficulties. The same way you have people around you that you are their environment, you are part of their environment. If you can contribute, then, that comes back to you later when you need it. And so, it's always we have to be um, on the lookout for opportunities to contribute to someone else. It's like you're putting money in the bank, with a good interest rate.
And I think it's up to us to create our community like on Open Diner. I live here in this, communities to where we can, it's probably not as easy because you have to be open and vulnerable to get help and stuff, but that's where we grow. So, be in an environment where you can, if you're going through a lot, you say, I'm going through a lot. Can you help me? And when you're open and vulnerable, you get help. And that's when we change and we're more, what's that word? We're more aligned to change because change is happening. It's how much we are aligned to it, how comfortable our life is. If we're resisting it, we're not gonna feel happy. But if we're aligning to the change that's happening in the planet and in all of us, and then being there for each other, I think is so important.
And Susie, I just want to say you have to be one of the bravest women, maybe the bravest woman I have ever met, to be able to pick up your life like that and move to Hawaii. We're not talking just across the United States, we're talking across an ocean. I think that's truly amazing. I don't think I could ever have that kind of courage, but good for you. Yay.
Even if I have to, see spiders crawling through my hat once in a while.
But even though there's those spiders, there's all those other beautiful things you've shown us there. And that's great.
It is a spectacular place. It's a great place to heal, to learn to be, and I am learning that I am courageous. So thank you, Nancy.
And if you think about our ancestors, how brave they were to come from Europe, Asia, Africa, wherever, to come here with nothing. That was amazing.
Well, and even the Polynesians in finding Hawaii, they would canoe as far as they could, but they saw birds going, and then they'd go back, and then they'd go farther. Pretty soon they found the Hawaiian Islands because people are persistent to find change. I love it.
All right, friends, a few words in closing. Um, by embracing the idea of that everything is temporary, we have a better attitude toward change. Also, with the right people, the right environment around us, our confidence in our abilities in general and our ability to face what comes will grow. And nature will always gently nudge us to improve until we achieve that perfect state in complete harmony with everything else. So hang on to your people or hang on to Open Diner. We'll go through change together. Thank you for being here. A few ways to keep in touch with us at Open Diner. Please join our meetup group if you haven't already. There is second, I will post a slide. We can also follow us on Facebook. We also post on Instagram, Nextdoor, Twitter, Pinterest, and a few other social networks. You can find us there. If you prefer, you can subscribe to our email list for bi-weekly notification about our events. Remember, your email address is private. It's never shared with a third party. We only send you this notification every 2 weeks. Some of our old events are on YouTube. If you want to watch and share, please invite your friends to join us too. We're always happy to have them. All the links are in the chat. Thank you again for coming. We'll see you again in 2 weeks. And our next topic will be All You Need Is Love. And I'm going to play a little song on the way out.
Changes. Turn and face the strain. Changes. Don't wanna be a richer man.